Today we're going to look at the slope of a line using a couple of points, and we will figure out what the slope of a line is. Now, slope just basically means how steep a line happens to be. So let's just draw a quick little grid here. Oh, that ought to be good. Doesn't have to be fancy. Remember, this one is X, and this axis here, this line is Y. And we'll just go out here to 5, and this will be -5. And then going up here on the Y line, or the Y axis, is 5, and then going down on the Y, we'll call that -5. Okay, so just a simple grid for us. Now, slope just means how steep a line is. So for example, if I just randomly draw a line there, the slope is how steep it is. See, if I drew a line like that, then that line is flat. It's almost like a flat roof of a house or something. Sometimes you see those, and there's no slope with that line here. But more often than not, you see houses and garages and buildings with a roof, and the roof has a slant to it, most likely so water and snow and whatnot can run off it. But anyway, in math, that is called the slope, how steep a line is. Now, this line I drew here has a pretty good slope. Let's draw another line here. Now, this orange line, that's real steep. You can see how steep that line is. And if I draw a green line here, that green line doesn't have too much of a slope. See how the orange line is more up and down, and so that's all slope is there. That's all it is. But we're going to look at finding slope using a couple of points. So let's just take I think the best way to do this is just to do it, and we'll learn the formula as we go along. So let's take the points 1, 5. Oh, I guess still in green. I'll change it here in a minute. 1, 5, and another point we'll just randomly pick. Oh, I don't know. How about 6, 9? Okay. So I just picked out 2 points. Now those 2 points we're going to put on this grid over here, and we're going to find out the slope of this line. So let's do that first. Let's actually, you know what? We're going to change this a little bit, and let's make the second point, -2, 3. Okay, how's that there? Okay, so the first point is 1, 5. So remember, X comes first, and 1 is about here, and 5 is up here. So we'll put it about right there. Okay, right close to that 5 there. Now, -2 is over here. Remember, X comes first, and then 3, is about there. Again, it's pretty rough. It doesn't really matter too much for our purposes. And now we'll draw this line, okay, through those 2 points. Okay, let's make it a little, there we go. All right, so that is our line right there. And now we're going to find out the slope of that line, how steep it is. Now, here we go. Now, the formula for slope is M. Isn't that weird? You think it'd be S or something like that, but it's the letter M. And I'm going to draw a little bit of Greek. It looks like a triangle, but actually in the Greek alphabet, that is the letter delta. And for our purposes, it means the change in Y over the change in X. So that funny triangle thing right there, there's 1 there, and then 1 over here. It's a letter of the Greek alphabet, like we have A, B, C, D. Well, they have different letters and they look all different. And the triangle one is the letter delta. And in mathematics and for slope here, in our case, it means change, how y changes over how x changes. Okay, so how does y change? Well, let's look at our y values. We have a 5 and we have a 3. Okay, so I'm going to start with the 5 and I'm going to put 5. Maybe I can fit it right here. Let's make this a little bigger. I'm going to make this 5. Now change, how it changes is going to be subtraction. That's the difference between them. 5 over 3. Now, how does x change? Well, here's one x value here, 1, and the other x value is -2. So we have x changes as 1 minus, I'm going to put a little parentheses here just to keep it halfway organized, 1 minus 2. Okay, now what does that work out to be? Well, 5 minus 3 is 2. And 1 minus a -2 is the same as 1 plus a +2, which is 3. And believe it or not, that right there is our answer. The slope of the line I drew over here on our grid thing is 2 over 3, or 2/3. That's all there is to it. Not so bad, huh? Let's try another one. Let's try the points. We'll try one more. This time we'll try the points 3. I think we can fit a 6 on here. We'll just kind of cram it in. 3 and 6 and, I don't know, -3 and 4. Okay, these will be our 2 points here. So remember, slope is the change in y, or delta y, over delta x, or the change in x, how y changes over how x changes. So we have, for y, we have a 6 here and a 4 here. I always like to start with the first point, then you don't have to worry. Always start with what's the first one is. Then you don't have to worry about learning stuff, and it's very natural to start on the left. Okay, so 6 minus 4, and that's how y changes. Now delta x, how x changes, is going to be 3 minus a -3. So let's see if we can do that. 3 minus, and I'm going to put the -3 in parentheses like that. Okay, so far so good. So what's 6 minus 4? Well, that's 2, of course. And what's 3 minus a -3? Well, that's just like the one we had up here. When you subtract a negative, it's the same as adding a positive. Don't ask me how, only God and Einstein know how. And why? So 3 plus a +3 is 6. Now this here is the correct answer. It's not wrong in the sense, but you won't see it like that. You need to reduce it just like we reduced fractions, remember, in arithmetic. So 2/6, if we divide both the top and bottom by 2, we'll get 1/3. And that right there is the slope of these 2 points and of that line. And that's all there is to it.